there, my name is Chansa, aka Tawila's godmother, the latest godmother in town. Now, do journey with me today on Sport and Fire. We'll be talking about interesting things as we look at week 22. Those are week 23 results, rather, of the MTN Super League, as well as just some of the interesting facets that have come out of sports. Of course, we do know that the final nomination process did end on Friday for the upcoming FAS elections, as well as just what's the next process. And to help me talk about that, I am joined by analyst Moses Mpondo. Moses, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Chansa.
Well, it is great to have you.
Good to be here.
But most definitely, just what do you make of results from week 23 of the MTN Super League?
Trust me, interesting results. Most of the teams playing in return games. I was more interested to see if Green Buffaloes is going to turn up against Park Dynamos. A repeat of 2022 obviously would happen at Edwin Mbola Stadium, which is really good for Park Dynamos. And of course, a win could be a revenge for them. Green Buffaloes managed to win the first encounter by 3-1, and they turned that down by winning 2-0. But quite interesting, Zanaco Football Club still in shambles because they were beaten by FC Musa for the very first time at their home background, especially when somebody said the game was played at Nkoloma Stadium. We take no excuse. That's where Zanakos beat it. That's their home ground. They were beaten by 2-0, real bad. But I think the game and the teams of the moment, Zesco United, Tower Warriors has never beaten Forest Rangers, so it went as it ends at most of the times. A draw would be good for them. But hey, I was expecting to see Zesco United do something. This time around, they did something over a team that has been really good. Myton Frila Wanderers dropping points after at least 5 games at home. Really disappointing for the fans. But hey, you're playing the giants of the Copper Belt, so you expect such results to come through. Overall, the weekend was all good in terms of your team, if at all it managed to win. But if you drop points like Zanaco, it's a bitter pill to swallow.
Well, before we move on to the national team affairs, we know that Nora has called a provisional squad to prepare for the 2 friendly games against Malawi, but Nkana won big. 5-1. That was no mean achievement for Munya Chipepo and his boys after they came off a 1-0 draw against Nkwazi. Just what do you make of that?
It's a revenge of what would happen. Of course, all round one of the games played, Nkana was beaten by 2-1. And the young boys, definitely this time around, were separated because Nkana turned up to be the big boys. Scoring 5 goals, I think it's not a joke. And turning point, remember, for Munya Chipepo is scoring a whole lot of goals this season. But what's really disappointing that it happens at the time when they have really dropped in terms of log standing. It would be better this is happening, at least they were on top. But since being dislodged, this is the biggest win that they would have in the league and really a good revenge for a team that would suppress them in the first encounter.
Okay, now it is Zambia up against Malawi, the 2 international friendly games. One would question the caliber in the opponents. Just what do you make of the 2 games that the Copper Queens are set to have en route to preparation, or as they prepare rather, for the upcoming WAFCON?
Do we remember that this is going to be the very first game, of course, of Nora? For me, I'm not, of course, against any other team that she would play. Even a local club would be better. What you want to give is a test of what the Zambia women's team would give. So Malawi is coming in at the backbone, having beaten Zambia, especially in the regional tournament. So they're assembling a team that really is going to compete so hard. So I think this is a moment that Nora is going to see something of course, the Copper Queens. Looking at the players that are being called in camp, could be the most happening players at the moment. Players like, of course, is it Ochumba, Spat, and Margaret Belemu. And of course, we see at least 10 players coming in from Zesco and Dollar Girls. That simply tells us there is the cream de la cream of the local players. And of course, it's a moment that we are at least trying to build something for the women's national soccer team, but mostly for Nora.
Before I let you go, you've seen the list of presidential aspirants. Just what do you make of those that are vying for the upcoming positions or various positions in the upcoming FAS elections?
Once you nominate or you submit your nomination, there is a vetting process, which is really risky. For some candidates, they're not going to make it. We'll obviously have a full list of the candidates that are going to obviously make it to the final cut. But what I should say is, surprising if 9 people show interest, of course, of becoming FAS or Football Association of Zambia presidents, then there is something, of course, that everyone wants to do. What I'll tell you is, let them give the best they can for Zambian football.
Well, lights out. We could tell it's time up, and that's where we come to the end of Sport and 5. Ciao. See you later.